So I'm here in northern Portugal with António Amorim, president of Amorim. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me today. Now, let me first ask you, who is Amorim?
Amorim is a company that has celebrated last year 140 years existing in the cork industry. We are actually the world leader in manufacturing, selling and distributing cork to various wineries amongst basically all the wine producing countries in the world. We started our activity by exporting raw materials to other producing areas that had manufacturers in Catalonia, in Spain, in France, in the United States. Later we developed our industrial base. In the 1990s we started to develop our distribution base, and from the 2000 onwards science, innovation, technology, research and development took place, and this is really what has made Amorim not only an historic company in this field, but the world #1 in the manufacturing and selling of cork stoppers.
Now, I have to ask the question about cork versus other kinds of closure, because that's a big debate now. There was a big debate in particular that started in the 80s, 90s about cork being not an ideal closure for wine, but many things have happened since then. What's the situation today, you say?
I think that the debate basically started in the mid-90s, yeah, with the emergence of plastic stoppers coming out from Australia, being well diffused by the English supermarkets. And I think that what we have actually witnessed in the last 10-12 years in the cork industry is a real revolution. I mean, the cork industry really questioned itself some 10-12 years ago. We started to innovate, we started to introduce new technologies, we started to evaluate the whole of our supply chain. We started to bring in outside scientists to evaluate how we could improve the technical performance of our cork stoppers. And 10 years later I can tell you that cork is in good health. We are actually getting market share definitely from synthetics, because the synthetics have been declining already for the last 5 years in the marketplace, and even against screw caps, who seem to be the closure with whom cork will compete most fiercely. Cork is also making some inroads in some of the most important new countries that have adapted screw caps earlier. So I would say that the market finally is realizing the value of cork for 3 main reasons. Yeah. There is a technical reason. Today cork has really improved the technical performance of its products. Cork has launched new products in the marketplace and can compete in technical levels and in economic price points. Cork is by far the most ecological, the most green closure out there, and this is something that is being valued more and more by the supermarkets and by the consumers in general. And more important than that, the consumer today knows that when he opens a bottle of wine with a cork, he has bought quality wine. And the perception of value is crucial in the wine industry, as you very well know.
Now, you mentioned that there was a revolution, and really revolution within the cork producers. What did you do? Can you give us some specific examples?
Three very simple things. First of all, we looked at the critical points of our production process, from the tree in the forest that we get the bark of the tree once every 9 years out to produce cork stoppers with. So we analyzed throughout the production process every single critical point, and we basically try to correct it. Right. These are what we call the preventive measures. However, this probably cannot do it on its own. So we have launched new technologies, namely steam distillation technology applicable to cork, because the molecule that creates cork taint is TCA, which means that we can remove that with that's volatile with steam. So by applying steam we can get that molecule being volatilized. So we have applied several new technology that we have created in-house with the help of our research and development team, and put them throughout the production process. Thirdly, the quality control process has improved. Today we have 12 GCMSs that work 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, measuring the TCA levels of the products throughout the production process and the products that we are actually delivering to the world. These 3 steps have really been a revolution, mentality revolution, and revolution in the sense that we really have improved technically the quality of our products.
So does this mean that today you have virtually eliminated cork taint or TCA?
I would say that today we have not only virtually eliminated, of course research is continuing, but we have also demonstrated that cork, in comparison with other closures, namely plastics and against the screw caps, is a better closure from a technical point of view. It's clear, and research proves this, that wines under plastic become oxidized very, very quickly, and wines under screw cap become reduced with a bad smell after a while. So, and the cork allows, due to its cellular structure, to have the micro-oxygenation of the wine, and that certainly makes a difference.
Now you also talked about the markets, and it's interesting to talk a little bit more about the market. What is the evolution for cork that you see on the global market, and is it very different from one national market to another?
It is. I mean, it is clear the early adopters of alternative closures, being plastics or later on screw caps, have been the New World countries, namely New Zealand and Australia. These 2 markets are still very positive, namely towards screw caps. They've started with plastics. Yeah. Then they realized that plastics were not a good technical solution, and they have moved to screw caps. I think that some of them are finally realizing that probably screw caps will not be the ideal solution to have a quality wine, and I think quality is today a main driving force, and the premierization of Australian wines are a main driving force behind wines of Australia. So I think that will come more and more into their reasoning. And those are basically the markets that where we have seen screw caps growing the most initially. And then you had the UK supermarkets trying to select different suppliers to incorporate screw caps on BOBs, by your own brands and wines like that.
Yeah. And but you also have the very important side, which is the consumer conception, consumer view of the image of cork. Is that changing?
That's changing in favor of cork. I mean, the ratings and the surveys that we are actually seeing is showing that consumers prefer cork. I mean, consumers is our most important ally. That's absolutely unquestioned, because people prefer wines with a natural cork rather than a synthetic plug or an aluminium screw cap. From a sentimental, from an emotion, and from a technical point of view, there's absolutely no doubt. So we are seeing consumer preference growing. We're seeing American consumers being very attached to cork. We're seeing French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese consumers being very, very attached to cork. Of course, that are other consumers that are being more Scandinavian, some New Zealanders and Australians that are becoming more accepting in an easier way alternative closures, but we are on the process of also trying to convince some of those.
So you as president of the company of Amorim, you're positive, optimistic for the future?
We are. We feel certainly very confident. The work that the cork industry has done over the last 10 years shows that improvements had to take place. Improvements have actually taken place. The market finally is getting aware of them. The most important wine critics in the world, from Parker to the Jancis Robinsons to many others, are becoming aware that cork has really improved. They are letting the world know that, and that's really a very big responsibility of us to continue the work that we have started and prove to the consumers, because that's the most important ally, that cork is certainly the most preferred closure. Not only because it's a natural product, but it also helps the wine to sell better, to sell at a better price point, and allows the wine to have a better performance.
Antonio Amorim, President of Amorim, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me.
Thank you.